Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build, or actually speed renovation. I've got something special this time because today is the 5-year anniversary of The Sims 4, so I thought it'd be really fun to go back and renovate the first build that I ever made in this game, which is this very small cottage type house. And it originally was 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, but I did reconfigure the layout a little bit because I didn't really use the space in this house very well, so I actually managed to turn it into a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom house. And I also made the living room area a little bit bigger because originally I had this, I think, 5x4 tile entryway, which is completely unnecessary and a very bad use of space. So I absorbed some of that space into the living room and then also used some of that to make another bedroom. So that definitely worked a lot better because when I first made this build, I hadn't played The Sims 4 at all, obviously. This was made in a first impressions Let's Build where I got The Sims 4 the day it came out. I installed it and I just went in and built not knowing what I was doing. So the series actually began exactly 5 years ago when The Sims 4 was released. And I just thought this would be a really fun way to reflect how far I've come with my building, and also just what you can do with the additions that have been made to the base game in The Sims 4, and also just what you can do with the items that have been added since then. And I had a lot of fun doing this. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out because this build is very basic, and I was trying to do my best to spruce it up a bit and add some detail to it, and I think it came out fairly nicely, even though the original build was very basic. But as I was saying, the series was a little bit of a mess because I remember I had no clue what I was doing and I just kept messing up. I kept fumbling through the series. I remember the first part was like just 30 minutes of me trying to figure out how to make the basic structure of the house because I kept screwing things up and then trying to figure out how to fix it. So if you want to watch that series, you can. Just be warned, it's a little bit of a mess. I didn't know what I was doing, so you'll see me just constantly screwing things up, but it is kind of interesting to look back on because I feel like when that series was made, I had only been doing YouTube for like a year or so. I was a lot less comfortable with recording, so it is kind of nice to look back on that and reflect on that some, and also just to think about the point in my life I was at when I made that series, because when I started that series, I was just beginning my last semester of college. Like literally the day The Sims 4 came out was the first day of my last semester of college, and I remember being frustrated by that because I was like, really, it could have come out a week earlier than that and I would have had like just this week of no school to be able to make videos. But no, unfortunately the timing had to line up like that, but that's fine. So it's just kind of neat to think about that. And then here I am 5 years later and I've graduated from college. Obviously I got a job in my field, which took a little while to get. I'm also living in an actual house rather than a basement apartment in someone else's house, because when I first started YouTube, I was also living in an apartment that was basically like, it wasn't in a regular apartment complex. It was someone's basement that they turned into an apartment, and I remember it was kind of awkward because I would be recording videos and the laundry for the house was within our apartment. So whenever the guy who lived there had to do laundry, he would have to come in through our apartment to get to it. Because I remember I would just be recording and then I would hear him open the door from his part of the house, and then he would have to come down to the part of our house, into the basement where our apartment was, and I would have to stop recording while he goes and does his laundry. And then of course you would have the washing machine in the background of the video, which was very annoying. So it wasn't really the best environment to make videos in, but it was where I started, and that's another thing that's kind of interesting to reflect on how my environment has changed. But I just remember being super embarrassed and not wanting this guy to find out that I was making YouTube videos. So I would be very afraid to record whenever someone else was in the house, and I would have to abruptly stop what I was saying whenever he would open the door to come down and do laundry or let his dog out the back of the house. So there was lots of awkwardness there. And I also remember there was problems with, like, he would blare the TV upstairs and I would be too embarrassed to ask him to turn it down. So I would just have blaring TV in the background of my video. But we'll start somewhere, and I'm thankful that I'm in a situation now where I don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff. But back to the actual build. At this point, I've done a lot of the landscaping in the front yard. So as you can see, I went for more of this kind of a sparse look with the landscaping on it. So rather than doing a lush landscaping where you have a ton of flowers and they're clustered together and you can't see the dirt through them at all. I wanted to do this thing where I sized down a lot of the flowers and made it so they're very spread out, because I was trying to look for some landscaping inspiration, and I saw pictures of that being done, and I thought it looked really nice for this house, because when I was trying to figure out what I was doing and I was trying out a more lush landscaping, it didn't really look quite right with this house. And I think that's because it is one that's fairly simple, so it was kind of, I don't know if it makes sense, but I felt like it was kind of overwhelming in a way to have all this lush landscaping. Plus, it didn't really fit in with the very suburban setting of this house. You know, it just kind of felt weird to have this lush, fairy tale-esque landscaping around this cottage that's in a small suburban neighborhood, or, you know, or on a smaller lot. So I thought this landscaping kind of worked for the house and made it, you know, just looked a little bit better than something that was more lush. And it definitely looks better than the landscaping that was there originally, because there wasn't really a lot. I think I had some plants in front of the living room part of the house, but I didn't really have anything anywhere else. And then there's a few in the back of the house as well. And part of that was because we didn't have the move objects sheet back when the game first came out. So you had to be very careful how you place plants, because you couldn't have them intersect at all. So I just remember, like, you could even do a lush garden if you wanted to then. And plus, I've also just figured out how to landscape more since that time. So it'll be really neat to see the transitioning shots at the end of the video, because I will have some shots in the fly through transitioning from the house before to the house after. So I think it'll be kind of cool to see how the landscaping, you know, how different the landscaping looks between those shots and how it really helps to make the house look better. So I'm actually looking forward to recording those and putting those together. And I, of course, continue the same kind of landscaping to the back of the house. And then we also have a table and some chairs back here and a clothes drying line. And then there is a jungle gym for the kid, because this is a 2-bedroom house now, so I wanted to have a bedroom for a child. And then there is a small garden area off to the side, and that's really about it. I'm just adding some details here. I thought this cooler would be really cute to place back there, like it was the kids, and they just dragged it around the backyard and just left it there. And on the deck here, we've just got your standard stuff. We've got a grill, we've got a chair, or a couch actually. And I really like how this one looked in here. I just think the coloring of it goes so well with the rest of the house. And then apart from that, we just got some plants. And after this, we just have to furnish the front porch, and then that is it for the outside, and we are on to the inside. But right here, I just was trying to raise up that decoration with different sauce bottles on it onto the grill. I like to do that just because it's, you know, just so it looks like sauces that they may use to season whatever they're cooking, and they just have it sitting there. So for the front porch, I ended up using a lot of plants. I used this hanging plant that was unlocked with not the most recent patch. I keep wanting to say the most recent patch, but it wasn't at this point. It was a patch before the most recent patch. So it was unlocked in that one, and I thought that'd be really cute to have here. And apart from that, I just added some other various plants. I added that one there next to the door that was also unlocked. So I just sized that down a few times so it looked like a smaller planter, and I really like using those different plants that were unlocked. It just adds so much more variety to the build. And I also used a couple of them in the exterior landscaping. I didn't use a lot, but that's another thing that's really cool to kind of reflect on, how we now have all of those options as well. You know, it's not just the content that we've gone through packs, it's also what's been added through the Let's Build that makes this game a little bit better. Although the thing that is interesting is that with the previous iterations of the game, like Sims 2 and Sims 3, usually by the 5-year mark, we were on to this, you know, the next iteration of the game. Like the Sims 3 released in 2009, and then in 2014, The Sims 4 came out, so that was within 5 years. But The Sims 4 is kind of doing its own thing, and I don't even know when The Sims 5 is going to come out. I'm assuming there's going to be a Sims 5. Hopefully there is, but I have no idea when that's going to be, because I think they have 2 or 3 more years that they want to make content for The Sims 4, which is interesting. I mean, I'm curious about what the next iteration of the game will be, but I'm kind of fine with seeing where The Sims 4 will go for now, because it's definitely gotten a lot better since its release. There's definitely more room for improvement, but I just remember being very annoyed with some things of The Sims 4 when it released, like the lack of toddlers and no move objects, no pools, no ghosts, and just the lockdown feeling of the game. But that has definitely been made to feel better through patches and packs that have been released. So this game is definitely a lot better than it was when it first released. But currently we're on furnishing the entryway, and as I mentioned before, I made it a bit smaller because we really do not need 4 by 5 tiles of space for an entryway in a house that's rather small already. So I feel like this renovation just uses the space within this house so much better, because this entryway is still fairly large, but it's not as unnecessarily large as it was before. And I also use this blue polka dotted rug that came with the Moschino stuff pack. And I just thought it was kind of this like cool and quirky look for the foyer, because I was trying to make this a fairly fun feeling house, like it's a young couple with their kid and they've got somewhat of a mismatched vibe going on in here. Like not everything goes perfectly together. They got some funner things in here. Like it has more of a youthful feel to it. And I thought that rug went with that, but I'm not completely sure if I'm going to keep that in the end product or not. So there might be a different rug there when you watch the fly through, or maybe I'll keep it just because it is something a little fun and different than what I usually do. We'll have to see, but yeah, at the time I thought that was really cool. And then I'm just adding some various clutter to this table here. So we got a random book that was left there. I was kind of imagining that maybe the kid left that there like it was something for school and they just plopped it there and forgot to pick it up. And then we got some bills there that maybe they haven't paid yet, and then just some other various knickknacks. And the living area was also made a bit bigger, so that was helpful as well because I was able to fit more seating in here. So we just got a couple of those couches, and I really like how those look. I like that they're, they got a bit of color to them. It makes the area not feel so beige. And I was trying to keep somewhat of the same feel with some things on this house. Like on the exterior, I kept the wall coloring of the same because it was called Baby Blue Cottage. So I wanted to keep the light blue wallpaper on the outside to go with that. And I also kept the same wood flooring in the inside, which I actually didn't mean to do. But I just started furnishing it and I didn't change the flooring. Like I completely forgot to. And at the end I was like, wait a minute, I meant to change that, but it actually looked pretty good, so I just kept it like that. So I think it is kind of good to keep some things of this house before. I think that's kind of nice in a way. And then I changed the wallpaper on the inside a little bit, but I kept it a similar beige color to what it was before. But over here in the living room, we've just got a lot of kid-related clutter on this coffee table. I thought that fit this house because it is fairly small, so I kind of imagine that there's not a lot of storage space, so some of the kids' stuff ends up where it shouldn't end up. So like, some of their toys and stuff are here in the living room. Like as I'm finishing up the living room, I added one of those stuffed toys just in the corner there. Like they brought it in, they wanted to have their favorite toy with them as they watch TV, and they just left it there for whatever reason. And then we also have a video game console and some controllers there. Because I was thinking that the parents could be a bit into video games because, just because you have a kid doesn't mean you have to give up on that kind of stuff in your life. So I like to imagine that they are young at heart, so they are still into that stuff. Maybe they even play video games with their kids because it is for a child, so not a toddler. So I can imagine them all playing video games together as a family, which is definitely what I would want to do if I ever have kids. I definitely want to raise kids who are into playing video games as much as I am. So I really like that idea for this house. And then over here, we're on the dining room, which is a fairly small space. We just got a hutch over there in the corner. We've got a table and chairs, as you typically have in a dining room, and some various decoration to pull it together. But something I forgot to do that I meant to do before finishing the build was putting a laptop at one of those chairs, because I want to have a computer somewhere in this house, but I didn't have any space to put it in the bedrooms because I actually did make the master bedroom smaller because I felt like it really didn't need to be as big as it was originally, and some of that space would be better used to create that second bedroom, because that was where the computer originally was in this house. But since we're not able to fit in there anymore, I wanted to just have one at the dining room table so there was someone, like a laptop at the table. So there is something in this house. So that's something you'll probably see added in before the download or the fly-through at the end. But we're currently onto the kitchen, and I went for a very parenthood look with this kitchen, and that was a general style of this house. I know that style is overdone by myself, but I really wanted to furnish this house in my comfort zone style, like kind of like my typical go-to style, just to really show how much things have changed, because when I furnished this originally, it was furnished in my comfort zone style. I think I may have even said that in the series at one point. I don't know. I haven't watched it because, I haven't watched it in years because I honestly just don't really want to go back and watch it, but I feel like that's what I intended to do with it at the time, so I thought it'd be good to do that at this point just to reflect how much that style has changed over the past 5 years. And something else I wanted to point out is that I did put some sliding doors in this kitchen. And something I do recall from that series is that when I was building it, I really wanted sliding glass doors off the kitchen here, but I was very frustrated by the fact that there were none. So I stuck this door in that did not fit with the house very well because I saw that when I was renovating. I was like, oh yeah, I remember being very annoyed by that. But we have sliding glass doors now, so finally this house has those sliding glass doors that I really wanted it to have. We're almost done with the kitchen though, so surely we will be moving on to the bathroom and the bedrooms. I'm just changing up the flooring here a little bit because I realized I have been using that Jungle Adventure flooring a lot in kitchens, so I just want to switch it up and use something that I haven't used as much. Although I did use this flooring in my last build, but that was the first time I really used it, so I thought that was fine. So for this bathroom, I wanted it to have this very fun and colorful look to it, so I got the whale shower curtain over there. I just thought that'd be something really cute to have for the kid. Like, they wanted the bathroom to have a fun feel for their kid. And I also stuck a washer and dryer in here, so it's just kind of crammed into this space off to the side here because I did stick that clothes drying line outside, so, you know, obviously we have to have this, otherwise you can't wash your clothes. It's just going to be a whole pain in the butt. So that's just crammed in there, and then we got a shelf above it with some laundry detergent. And when I was looking through the debug objects at one point, I found this spray bottle, so I stuck that up there. I thought that'd be something very fitting to have this cleaning spray bottle, or, you know, the spray bottle with cleaner up there. That is something I haven't really come across before, but that's definitely an item I'm going to have to use more of because, you know, obviously you generally have cleaning supplies in your house. So that is something that's very useful for having a more realistic and cluttered home. But we're just finishing up the details now and adding some paintings in, and that is it for the bathroom. So now we're on to the child's bedroom, which did end up being fairly small. It's only 3x4 tiles, but that's still a decent space for a bedroom. And I just, you know, as I mentioned, I felt like this house was a bit too big to just be one bedroom, one bathroom, because I just used the space so poorly. Like, originally there was a 2-tile wide hallway and it was kind of awkward, and we definitely didn't need that. So this layout works so much better, and it definitely makes the house a lot more functional because it, like, one bedroom houses in The Sims, like apart from starter homes, I find not very useful because, I mean, I guess you could play it as a single sim or a couple who doesn't have kids. Like, you don't necessarily have to do that with your Sims, but I just find having that second bedroom, whether it's something you can use as an office or a bedroom, just makes the house so much more functional because it gives you more to work with as your game changes, as you progress through the family. You know, like, you're kind of a little bit more locked down when it's just one bedroom, and you can always add on, but sometimes it's a little tricky to add on to a house in a way that flows with the rest of it. So at least having that second room that can be turned into a bedroom or whatever just makes houses so much more useful, in my opinion. But for this bedroom, I went with mainly a yellow, orange, and blue color scheme. There's not really a ton of blue in this. It's more so just a few pops here and there, but I just really like that color scheme for kids' bedrooms. And I also stuck that school project on the dresser. I just like doing that because that's something that makes it feel a little bit more personalized, like they're working on something for school and they just left it there. And then we've got that art kit sitting up there and just that hairdryer and brush dresser clutter. So I just like how cluttered and filled in that dresser looks because I imagine that, you know, this kid maybe isn't the neatest. There's not a lot of space, so things just kind of end up wherever they end up. So it's just kind of all over the place. And just finishing up with adding a lamp in there, and we just got to get a rug in here, and that is about it for this room. And lastly, some folded or dirty clothes clutter. I meant to put a hamper in this room, but there wasn't really enough space for that, so we just have the one in the parents' bedroom, which I think is fine. Like, they generally say you should have one hamper per each household member, but I don't think it matters too much. I think as long as they have one hamper, it's fine. You know, that'll just fill up a little bit quicker, and they'll have to do laundry a little bit more often, but I don't think that's too huge of a deal because I obviously didn't want to put a hamper in somewhere and make an area unroutable because I was getting kind of worried about how cluttered some of the space in this house is. So I do need to playtest some things to make sure it's fine, but it should be. Like, I don't think I placed anything where Sims can't get through, but that is something I'll definitely double check. But we are currently onto the parents' bedroom, and this one has a very white and blue color scheme, a lot of lighter colors in here, although I did change the wall from the silver color or gray color to a beige one because I felt like the room needed a little bit more warmth than it has. But we are almost at the end of the building part of the video, so as usual, if you want to download this, there will be a link to do so in the description. There will be other stuff in there, how to find it in-game, and that's going to be all from me, so hope you enjoy the rest of the video.